So one thing that always kind of pushed my buttons about reductionism is the way they confuse how and why questions. Um, I see when people talk about psychedelics or any sort of vision, people have any sort of spiritual experience people have. Often they'll say, "Well, that's just chemicals in your brain." What are you talking about? Yeah, there's nothing magical about that. It's just chemicals going off in your brain, and just and it just tricks you into seeing God or what have you. And I think uh, what this sort of what this line of reasoning for me can neglects uh, is the different kinds of cause. I think we need to revive Aristotle's four causes because I think a lot of people think that there's a lot of thing in scientific materialism that basically says that at least scientific materialism has rejected two of the four causes that Aristotle identified, and they basically only emphasize material cause and efficient cause, and I think that's the only kind of cause there are. And for me, that's a huge mistake. I think we need to, I think, get back to the idea of formal cause and final cause, particularly. Uh, so I think, uh, for one thing I find when they talk about any sort of spiritual experience being a result of chemicals in your brain, well, all mental activity involves neurochemical reactions, and so them saying that to me is also just chemicals in their brain. Does that mean that what they said is just meaningless? I mean, what they're saying it had a formal cause, what the words they were trying to form, the meaning they were trying to create, and a final cause. It was a reason they said it. And so I think when we look at spiritual experiences, um, then just mapping them on the brain, can be great at explaining efficient cause. It can be great at saying, okay, well, if you do this, this will follow. But for me, it doesn't answer. That doesn't preclude the idea of a final cause as well. I mean, yeah, and then and I think there's also one thing I've been harping on about, which is the idea that these chemicals are somehow unintelligent, that they're just dumb stuff that don't do anything. Yeah, whereas I like to think that matter is alive, that it's bursting with at least the potentials of life, and and that we live in a purpose in which everything has its own teleology. Everything is er, every part of the universe has its own eros that's moving it upward towards greater complexity and greater value. Um, and so for me, it yeah, I mean, and I guess I'm talking about spiritual experience here, but even they'll even do it in term look at like free will in terms of that and say, well, the whole your whole idea of free will that you will to do something is just chemicals in your brain going off and making you do it. So you're not doing it; it's just chemicals. Well, aren't the chemicals part of me? Yeah, and was and what are the chemicals responding to? I think, but wait, when it comes down to it, when you look at just what a human being is we're a process that involves involves sort of the chemicals in our brains and our bodies, all these different molecular compounds, cells, and the environment, and it's an interaction with everything around us that makes us what we are. And so it's like I think, uh, our own individual. I think in a sense we have our own free will, but we are also part of the universe's free will. That we that the universe is doing us. It's making us, and we're making some. It's deciding to create us, and we're deciding to create other things. That there's a whole consciousness and free will kind of. It's a whole-on structure that's it exists at all the different levels, and so we can also the cells that comprise us each have their own free will, but they have physical restraints in terms of movement, but they have but they have sentience. They have they apprehend their environment, um, and so yeah. I mean, I guess basically getting back to that stuff about final cause. Yeah, it just seems to me that when someone points out some physical mechanism by which something profound happens, and they say, "See, it's nothing," I just have to roll my eyes and be like, "So what?" That's you say that as if that means something, and you really don't realize how little that means to just point out the physical precedent for something. So that's my thoughts for now. Peace.